Okay. Well, for
My,
me, it was not because I know my team and how they operate.
mm,
But y'all ready? All right. Let's. You know what? Let's forget it. Let's just jump right into it. We're gonna talk
Okay.
about this Eagles collapse to the Falcons 22-21. I do believe we have a sound bite. Well, I believe it was Speak, right? And who's to blame for the Eagles choke job against the Falcons? Guys, y'all, it's week 2. Play the sound bite for me.
all
Play
right.
it for me.
Drop obviously stopped the clock, and the Falcons were out of timeouts. So there is a lot of controversy over if this was the right call. Should they have just run the ball, let the clock run out? But do you have any issue with the Eagles' failed third down play, Keyshawn?
Okay, so it's very simple for us to second guess the situation because if Saquon Barkley catches the football instead of looking at his hands when he dropped it, we'll be like, oh, that was a great call. I would have probably preferred them to run the football. They rushed for 186 yards plus on the day, 180-something yards on the day. So it wasn't like they were being stopped. I just think at that moment in time, whatever that sequence was leading up to that particular moment, they had stuffed a few runs and they didn't feel comfortable in doing it. So they got cutesy, right? And when you get cutesy, Paul and Joy, sometimes coaches like Kellen Moore decide, I'm going to be smart. I'm going to outsmart the defense. And he did. It was a two-way go. He gave an opportunity for Jalen Hurts. If they would have covered Saquon Barkley, he could have put his foot in the ground, retraced, and got to the first down marker.
Right.
It's easy to second guess it now. It really, truly is. I throw that football to Saquon Barkley 100 out of 100 times, man. He's going to catch it most of the time. He really is. It's just unfortunate it didn't work out for him at that particular moment in time. And now here we are talking about it.
Well, I think you have to evaluate the risk here. I'm not somebody who's obsessed with analytics, but I do think that more information is helpful.
Yeah.
When you're looking at the situation, are you trying to get an extra 3 points? Are you trying to score a touchdown? Or is the priority here, since you're already up, to give the ball back, which you know you will do at this point, with the least amount of time on the clock for Kirk Cousins and the Falcons to drive down and score?
Yeah, but in a game time situation, there's a lot going on, right? Coaches have got to be calm. They got to understand. And you would say, well, why wouldn't Nick Sirianni overrule? Well, he may have thought about overruling Kellen Moore, but then Kellen Moore may have convinced him, hey, this is the best third down call that we got. They haven't been able to cover it all night long. Remember, in the first half, we did this and it hit. And so you got all those different conversations, and you trust in a guy you just gave a boatload of money to. This ain't me and you he throwing to. This is a guy who's currently in the National Football League.
Right. Well, I mean, yes, of course, if Saquon catches the ball, we're not having this conversation. But Saquon did not catch the ball, so we are having this conversation. And we do have to look at what the right decision would have been.
Just run the ball.
So, well, I guess what are your overall thoughts on what they had to say about, more specifically, that last drive, and who do you think is to blame for this?
I disagree with all of them. The blame goes on the Philly defense.
Man, that's why I was going with it. That's why boy, Corey, go ahead. I'm gonna let you cook.
I mean, he was well inside the red zone when he dropped the pass. He had to go like 87 yards in order to get, and they got down the field quick.
About 35 seconds they got down the field.
Quick.
They had a total of 99 seconds. They were in the red zone in 32.
Quick.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, things happen. You drop passes all the time. I mean, shit happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought it was a great play call, to be honest with you, because the way Atlanta stacked the box, right? And he was automatically open as soon as he swung outside. He was open. He catches the ball. He probably would have scored, to be honest, right?
It was him in a small corner.
That's it. That's all it was. And they hadn't tackled him very well all night.
Yeah.
So no matter what, the ball went over to Atlanta, and you had an opportunity to stop them, and you couldn't do it. So the blame goes on the defense for not stopping them.
Go ahead, Britt.
3 plays.
That's it. That's all.
3 plays.
It was in the red zone.
So, Corey, I know you said the defense. I'm going to be a little bit more specific because it is
I got you.
Defense. I'm going with the defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio. Regardless of the fact, you understand where how your defense was playing the entire game. Nothing has changed the entire game. They couldn't get any pass rush, right? They couldn't stop the run for anything, right? Bijan Robinson was dicing through us. Like,
man, he cold.
Like carving us up. like it was a Thanksgiving turkey day or something, completely carving this up, right? So my problem was you didn't present anything to help your young defense, right? It is an inexperienced defense, regardless of how. I appreciate it. Thank you. Regardless of how talented they are, whatever, how not talented they are, you have to be able to help your defensive line. You have to be able to help your edge rushers. Do a 5-man rush. I mean, 5-man front. You didn't show a 5-man front. You didn't blitz. I mean, you blitzed one time, it didn't work, and you decide not to go back to it. You got to help them out. This has been an ongoing issue. Corey, you said this with Dallas on your show, Cowboy Spit, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's been with the run defense. It's been an ongoing issue for quite a few number of years. So you have to do something to help them out. And Zoe, Kirk Cousins, your team was smart during those last 3 plays. They went to the side of the rookie and they baited the mess out of him.
Every single time.
Him. Right. They had the one player sit in front.
Put in something in the front of him. Put something in front of him and just go right behind him.
Yep. Right. And they went behind him. But he has to understand. And again, that's on Vic Fangio to send that down to your leaders and say, tell him to come back.
Yeah,
have him focus. You have, even if you got, you don't want to stop the clock, because I know that's what you're going up against is the clock in that moment. But look, if you ain't got time, take a time out, talk to your guy, like, hey, I need you to come back. And I don't know what the heck Darius Slay was doing. He got himself caught looking in the backfield, and you too much of a veteran. But I'm gonna give you a pass because you took accountability for that.
Yeah.
But Zoe, I know your team was celebrating like it was the Super Bowl Monday night.
It was.
Well, let me let Zoe go last in his squad.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so his squad got the W, so I'll let Zoe close it out. I'm going. I get it. The defense gave up the butt real early on the first date. I get it, right? But I'm gonna go psychological. Right, I'm gonna tell you what I think was going on, and Brittany go hate this, right?
I'm not gonna hate it.
Saquan Barkley on the touchdown drive was getting up the field doing his thing. They got to the red zone, and once they got close enough, they took Saquon out. Gainwell comes in, and they get to the 1, and then Hurts does the tush push and gets the touchdown. Saquon Barkley is on the sidelines. I look for this footage online, but I can't find it. But I think I sent the message in the group chat as soon as it happened. Saquon Barkley was on the sideline. It wasn't Kellen Moore. It wasn't Sariana. I don't know which coach it was, but he was on the sidelines going the heck off. And I'm like, he's mad because he did all that work to get upfield, and they wouldn't even let him punch the touchdown in. Right? He's pissed off about that. And a couple of possessions before that, the same thing happened. They took him out in the red zone and put Gainwell in, and they didn't even score. Right? So he's pissed off,
Hold
right?
up.
Yeah.
Mel, are you talking about the last drive or the
not the last drive. I'm talking about the one that Hurts got the touchdown on the tush push, and then they put Saquon back in. I'm about to tell you, they put Saquon back in for the 2-point conversion. I think I know. So this is what I think happened. This is what I think happened.
He purposely dropped that ball?
No. What I'm saying is that tongue chewing or that tongue lashing that Saquon gave whatever coach that was on the sideline, they felt like they had to make it up to him because they took a touchdown away from him and gave it to Jalen Hurts. I'm not going to let one of my highest paid offensive players get what he came over here to do. I'm taking him out of the game at the goal line after I just scored 3 touchdowns the week before. So he's pissed off, and now Kellen Moore felt like I got to get him in the end zone, and that's why they went on 3rd down and tried to throw that pass to him. And they should have just been running it the whole time, just to run the clock out. That's all they should have been doing was running the clock out.
So poor clock management.
And psychologically, they felt like they had to throw a bone to Saquon because they took a bone from him on the possession before that.
You don't watch the Eagles much, do you?
Yes, I do.
You do? Okay. So
I got people in fantasy.
Wait a minute. So then you understand that this is not the first time they have done this. It's just that they get praised for it when it goes well, and they become the worst team when it doesn't go well.
Yeah, and what I'm saying,
they have done this multiple times. This is something, and this was actually one of my questions I was going to ask you, but I want Zoe to go first. They have done this since Nick Sirianni has been the head coach. He goes for it on 3rd and 3 or 4th and 3 or 4th and 8 or whatever it might be. So it has nothing to do with how Saquon felt or didn't feel in that moment, in my opinion. This is not something new to the Eagles offensive calls during these particular times. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense why y'all ain't got no ring in this era of Sirianni, if that's how y'all normally think, because as long as y'all keep
it's a lot of teams that ain't got a ring with a certain head coach.
Yeah, but there ain't a lot of teams that got the squad to have a ring, but they keep messing it up.
Wait a minute. I don't know how we get from the no ring to certain play calls and all that, but I'm trying to understand you mentioning that play, I guess, and him being mad when, if you understand how the Eagles operate, they have done this even before Nick Sirianni has gotten here. They've done it in the Super Bowl that they won. But it's a good play because it worked. If it doesn't work, then we'd be sitting here saying it's one of the worst plays in NFL history, right?
I don't disagree with you, Britt. But I don't think it's one of the worst plays in NFL history. It was just, and I don't. To be honest with you, Britt, I don't think
not this play, the one in the Super Bowl. If that one in the Super Bowl did not work, remember they did that fancy, Philly, whatever they call it,
Philly special,
the Philly special. If that didn't work, we'd be saying how bad of a play that was during that time, right?
Agreed.
So
but that's a trick. But that's a trick play. This was just a normal play. I mean, shit happens.
Right.
He dropped the pass.
Saquon
Barkley catches that pass 99.99999 times out of 100. You know what I'm saying? It was just he dropped the pass, right? But what I'm saying, the only thing that I said is that they still had the ball on what? They need to go 80-something yards for a touchdown. All you had to do is stop them.
No, remember they kicked the field goal. And
That's
then I think
right.
they got the ball at the 30-yard line.
They got it at the 30. So they go 70 yards. So they go 70 yards with no timeout.
Fast.
It's fast. That was fast.
Made him look like him almost look like Patrick Mahomes in that moment.
That was
this your team. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Like, listen, I would like to thank the Philadelphia Eagles for resurrecting our season. Because we should not have had a chance to even have that last second drive, but I'm glad that we did. I'm glad that we did, because we would have been, look at our division now, the division that we thought that we were going to run away with because of all the offseason acquisitions. You got Bucks starting 2-0. You got the Saints looking like the greatest show on turf reincarnated. And we would have been sitting at 0-2. Looking like, tied with the Panthers in our own division. So, kudos. Blame wise, I mean, it's a lot to go around. Even not being from a fan perspective, because of course I'm glad all of that mess happened. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad everything that happened because we ended up with the dub. And I had already turned the TV off, and I was upstairs about to get into bed, and my son Josh texted me and was like, Saquon Barkley just dropped the ball. Go back down and turn this on. So it was unbelievable. I'm not mad at the play call. It's you throwing to Saquon Barkley, like getting him the football is what you want to do in the first place. And anyway, and as much space as he had, he catches. We're not having this conversation, but it's just like going forward. When Dan Campbell does it for the Lions and it works, everybody's like, yo, man, he's a great coach and he does this. But when it doesn't, then it's like, man, why does he always do that? You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things. Now, that defense is who I was going to blame from jump. And I hate blaming defense, because at the end of the day, a lot of those Georgia guys are on that Philly defense. A lot of those guys, and they not, I mean, besides Jalen Carter, I think Jordan Davis is underachieving. I think that, Keely Ringo is underachieving. The Kobe Dean, I know this.
Not playing.
Is Keely not playing?
No, not yet.
The Kobe Dean is his first year as a starter, right? In that Mike linebacker, or second year?
I'm gonna say first.
If he started last year, he came on late. Yeah, he came on late.
He was late. He was out last year due to injury. So this would be his third year, but first year full-time starter.
First year full-time, like it's a lot of the whole. Just like she said, Bijan was cutting up, like he was just finding whatever he wanted on the football field, and to be able to drive and you don't hit Bijan not one time in that drive. So it's Drake London, Mooney. They made him look like what he never has looked like before. I'll just say that. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know what his potential is. He looked really good on that second drive, like almost a one receiver. Like he was going to him every single time right in front of Quinyon Mitchell, and it kept working. So he kept doing it. And we went in a hurry up offense, went in our 2-minute offense, and got down the field. Once we got down on the field, I felt like the touchdown was inevitable because I've seen these collapses before. See, what Philly did was they out falconed the Falcons. And that's something we normally do. We'll normally, as we've seen before, we'll normally be the team that'll have the lead and snatch defeat out the jaws of victory. That's normally us. But for them, I think that this gives us new light on the season. We 1-1 and not 0-2. We still keep pace, and then we got a big game coming on the Sunday night game against the Chiefs. So maybe it give us some confidence going forward. But I was just surprised at the same time.
No disrespect. Don't get your hopes up.
Oh, I'm getting my hopes
up. Do not be that Falcons fans. I see you celebrate like it was a Super Bowl. Do not get your hopes up yet.
It was.
It is still. So it is still early. We didn't.
It is.
How is that y'all Super Bowl? That's sad.
If that was y'all Super Bowl, y'all would have been up 28-3 at halftime.
Yeah. No, it was the Super Bowl. We finally broke the curse.
You think?
No. See, I don't think you understand how Philly works every year and what they tend to do sometimes, and how they because if you look at last year, they had 3 of these last year. What the other team came and won under 2 minutes, and they shouldn't have won. The year before, when they went to the Super Bowl, it's like every year they'll lose to 1 or 2 games they're not supposed to lose to. Not saying the Falcons aren't talented, because I think you guys have a lot of talent, but they weren't supposed to lose that game.
I agree.
They dropped those games. So I'm just happy this happened earlier versus the last 6 or so games in the season like it did last year. But anyway,
you're right.
Right, real quick before we go to the next topic, I got another question pertaining to that last drive from the Eagles, because that seems to be has a lot of people divided within the sports community, right? And they mentioned it a little bit in this sound clip. And Mel, I was going to say, but I held it until now, and that was the Eagles have been known recently, especially during the Nick Sirianni years, of following analytics a lot, along with a lot of other teams. There's many other teams, whether we agree or disagree with it. Do you think teams are overly reliant on analytics to make a decision in crucial situations such as this one versus the feel or flow of the game?
100%. 100%. Like analytics should never be relied on. So even just saying relying on analytics too much, you just relying on it is already too much.
Yeah.
Right. Analytics is like a tool to like a supplement, like a tool, like like if I got an analytics guy that just look at things from the numbers perspective, and I'm a coach and I'm a football guy, and I'm saying I want to do this, blah blah blah, and my analytics guy be like, hey, just to let you know, this is a recommendation. Every time you did X, Y, and Z, it resulted in this. That's what they like. You know what? Okay, I keep that in mind. But I don't think you're supposed to get to like third down and be like, okay, it's first quarter.
Analytics say this.
Analytics say go for it because what some dumb. No, you still play the freaking football game. You take points when you get them. You got stopped on the 10-yard line. It's 4th down. You kicked the freaking field goal. They did that twice, right? Y'all had 2 field goals y'all could have got. Analytics say go for it. Y'all got no points.
First quarter of the game. That would have won the Eagles the game if they would have kicked that field goal in the very first quarter. They decided to go for it.
Analytics.
Go ahead, Corey.
Analytics. That's first, second, third quarter stuff, right? In the fourth quarter, game on the line, man, you just use your football knowledge. I need to keep this clock running, right? And if I throw an incomplete pass, this clock stops. Run the damn ball. Even if you don't get the first down, what happens? You still kick the same field goal that you kicked anyway. And we're not having this conversation. Saquan Barkley got stopped by the defense. That's a pretty normal thing. I mean, defenses tackle running backs unless you're the Dallas Cowboys. If you throw an incomplete pass, right?
Man threw a shot.
Hey, man, I'm just keeping it real. If you throw an incomplete pass, the clock is going to stop and you kick that field goal. Field goal is only going to take 3 seconds off the clock. They're going to have time to come. Even though they got down the field very fast. Okay, that happens, right? But you keep the clock running. So even if you do kick that field goal, they get the ball with 40-something seconds left on the clock? Something like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, you just keep it going. That's just basic football 101. That don't have nothing to do with analytics.
See, I would have been. It's funny to me because although I didn't mind the pass situation, if you're going to go for it in that position, I think it would be fourth and 3. Why not go for it again? Because now you're giving them. Now you're giving them much more of a longer field to go, right? So instead of 70 yards, what was that, the 10-yard line or within the 10, something like that.
80.
So now you're talking about 80 yards to go, 85, somewhere in that range. Now you're giving them way more of a field to go with a similar amount of time. And maybe you had an opportunity. I don't know if they still don't win the way that defense was playing, but it's just different situations and how Kirk Cousins and the Falcons didn't have to play it and how the Eagles would then have to play it. So
Atlanta, I think Philly, I was looking at it on ESPN. I think Philly had a 98.7% chance to win the game when the ball was kicked off.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Not with that defense.
I know, right?
I didn't. Let me be honest. Looking how we looked week 1, I saw a lot of the same issues. So I'm not, I talk my junk about, but reality speaking, they gave us the ball in order to be able to win. Yes, their defense sucked, but Saquon catches the ball. We out of timeouts. There's nothing else that we could possibly do. Like, the game should have been over. It should have been over. Because it wasn't, Kirk Cousins was able to do what he, is able to do, so he doesn't look like a complete waste of $100 million. You know what I'm saying? So that's fine. But in all honesty, there's a lot of things that the Falcons got to improve on. And I think that, we can be happy about this because they had so happy because we shouldn't have won the game. We shouldn't have. That's why they was celebrating like that. And I think it's Raheem's first win. I'm rooting for him to do well, not just because it's my team, but I just want him to do well. I feel like he finally getting a fair shot, operating the team like he's supposed to operate it, doing what he want to do, bringing in his personnel. Something I don't think they gave him a fair shot down in Tampa Bay. And even when the Falcons, after the collapse, the Super Bowl, after Mike Smith left, Raheem was on that staff. He had a chance to interview for that job too then. So I really just want him to succeed. So I was happy to see him get that win. But as far as contenders, the Saints still in our division. We got to see what happens with this. So, they different.
Yeah.
I hate giving the credit because Bones is in the chat, especially because he is Saints fan. And, on that day, we don't speak to each other. But yeah, man, definitely. I'm looking to see how we look against the Chiefs. I'm not getting my hopes up too crazy. I'm not one. I'm a realist. I've been hurt by this Falcons team too many times to take it seriously. But thank you, Philly, once again. Thank you.
You are so not welcome. No, I'm just kidding. All right.